At night, people lock their doors. They turn off the lights. They feel safe. But in Los Angeles, in the summer of 1984, locking your door didn't matter. Because the killer didn't knock. He didn't warn. And he didn't care who you were. Young. Old. Man. Woman. If you were asleep, you were a target. This is the story of Richard Ramirez. The man the media would later call
the Night Stalker.
Richard Ramirez was born in 1960, in Texas, United States. From a young age, his life was already dark. He was exposed to violence, drug abuse, graphic crime photos, and disturbing stories of murder from his own cousin. Before Richard Ramirez became the Night Stalker, the seeds of his violence were planted at home. As a teenager in El Paso, Texas, Richard idolized his older cousin Miguel, Mike, Ramirez, a decorated Vietnam War veteran. Mike often showed Richard graphic photos from the war, images of dead bodies, mutilation, and extreme violence. He didn't hide the horrors. He glorified them. Mike would also brag about rape, torture, and killing during the war. Richard listened closely. This was his first real exposure to violence, and it fascinated him. Then came the moment that changed everything. One afternoon, Richard witnessed Mike shoot his own wife, Jessie, in the face during an argument. There was no warning. No hesitation. Just a gunshot. Jessie survived the initial shot but later died from her injuries. Mike was arrested, and Richard watched it all happen. That moment burned into Richard's mind. Years later, Richard would repeat that same cold violence in strangers' homes, this time, as the Night Stalker. By his teenage years, Ramirez was using heavy drugs, including cocaine. But the drugs didn't create the monster. They unleashed it. By the time he moved to California, something inside him had snapped. And when night fell, so did his victims. In April 1984, Los Angeles was hit with a series of brutal home invasions. Victims were found. Shot. Stabbed. Beaten. Sexually assaulted. Some were killed instantly. Others were tortured first. Ramirez didn't follow a pattern. One night, he used a gun. Another night, a knife. Sometimes a hammer. He broke into homes through open windows, unlocked doors, or simply smashing his way inside. And before killing, he often whispered or smiled. Officially, Richard Ramirez was convicted of killing 13 people. But investigators believe the real number may be higher. His victims ranged in age from 9 years old to over 80 years old. Men, women, couples. It didn't matter. If you were there, and he was hungry for blood, that was enough. Los Angeles was terrified. People slept with guns under pillows, nailed windows shut, set traps inside their homes. Some neighborhoods formed armed patrols. The media gave him a name that made it worse. The Night Stalker. Parents warned their children. Stores sold out of locks. 911 lines were flooded. But the killer kept moving.
Serial killers do on a small scale what governments do on a large one.
Different cities. Different houses. No pattern. No face. Until a mistake. The clue that changed everything. In August 1985, Ramirez attacked a woman, but she survived. She looked him in the face. And she gave police something they desperately needed. A detailed description. Police released his face to the media. And that's when the entire city of Los Angeles saw him. Newspapers, TV screens, store windows. Richard Ramirez was no longer invisible. And he didn't know. Everyone was now hunting him. On August 31, 1985, Ramirez walked into a neighborhood store. People recognized him instantly. They shouted, "That's him. That's the Night Stalker." Ramirez ran. But the crowd chased him down, held him until police arrived. And boom, he was arrested. Here's a mugshot of him in real life. Bloodied. Terrified. No longer powerful. Just another criminal in handcuffs. The police interrogation. During questioning, Ramirez showed no remorse. He smiled. He laughed. He even bragged. But the evidence didn't lie. Fingerprints. DNA. Witnesses. The case against him was overwhelming. The trial. The trial of Richard Ramirez became one of the most expensive criminal trials in U.S. history. Victims testified. Families cried. Photos shocked the courtroom. Ramirez showed up smiling, sometimes flashing satanic symbols. But the jury saw through it. On September 20, 1989. The verdict was read. Richard Ramirez was sentenced in the United States of America, in the state of California. Death penalty. Plus life imprisonment for additional crimes. He was sent to San Quentin State Prison. The Night Stalker was finally locked. Richard Ramirez sat on death row for decades. But in 2013, before execution, he died of natural causes. No dramatic ending. No escape. Just a man who spent his final years behind bars. Feared no more. He hunted at night. He terrified millions. He thought he was untouchable. Until the city recognized his face. And justice caught up. This was Richard Ramirez. The Night Stalkers. Subscribe.